His father is dead. The man who killed him runs the biggest food company in Korea. The legal system couldn't touch him. The social system protected him. The Kemian of power made him untouchable. So Park Saeroyi does something very Korean. He doesn't fight the system. He enters it, opens a small bar in the neighborhood where he failed, builds it up one customer at a time, waits, not with rage, with the specific Korean patience of someone who understands that the system can be beaten, but only from inside, only with time, only with the same poly urgency that built the system in the first place. You think this is just a revenge drama. It isn't. This is the most precise map Korean drama has ever drawn of how ordinary people survive inside systems designed to keep them out. This is K-Logic, and today we decode the Itaewon Class Algorithm. Korean drama has a revenge genre. It is one of its most popular and most internationally recognized formats. But Itaewon Class does something that most revenge dramas don't. It refuses rage as the engine. Park Saeroyi does not spend 16 episodes angry. He spends them building. The distinction matters because it changes what kind of story this is and what cultural algorithm it's actually running. Most Western revenge narratives are about emotion driving action. The protagonist's anger, grief, or determination produces the confrontation that produces the resolution. The system is challenged directly. The villain is defeated personally. The emotional journey and the plot journey are the same journey. Itaewon Class is a story about patience as strategy, about someone who understands that the system that protected his father's killer cannot be defeated by direct confrontation, only by sustained, systematic accumulation of the resources required to compete inside the system on the system's own terms. This is the specifically Korean insight the show encodes, that the most powerful form of resistance inside a rigid hierarchy is not rebellion but infiltration. Not fighting the system, but becoming, incrementally and patiently, something the system can no longer ignore. The show is not a revenge fantasy. It is a manual. Protocol 1. Han converted to fuel. Park Saeroyi's Han is the show's central resource, and what makes Itaewon Class structurally unusual is how it uses Han. In most Korean cultural output we've decoded, my Mr. Signal, crash landing on you. Han is witnessed. It is acknowledged, honored, and carried with dignity. The resolution the show offers is not the elimination of the Han, but the recognition of it. Itaewon Class converts Han to fuel. The grief of Park Saeroyi's father's death, the specific injustice of watching power protect the person responsible, the years of prison that the system imposed on him for a crime that was itself a response to that injustice. All of this accumulates as Han. And instead of being witnessed, it is channeled, directed, made productive in a way that is uncomfortable to watch precisely because it requires the viewer to hold simultaneously the legitimacy of the anger and the discipline required to not act on it directly. This is the show's most culturally specific move, the conversion of Han into poly urgency. The grief becomes the engine. The injustice becomes the fuel. The patience required to build something from nothing, one customer at a time, is sustained by the specific Korean emotional intelligence of someone who understands that the system is real, that direct confrontation will fail, and that the only available path is through, not around, through. Protocol 2. The Underdog Algorithm at business scale. Itaewon Class runs the Underdog Algorithm, but at a scale we haven't seen in previous K-culture engineering analyses. In The King's Warden, the Underdog Algorithm operates at the scale of political history. In My Mr., it operates at the scale of individual dignity. In Itaewon Class, it operates at the scale of a business. And this is what makes the show's global resonance extend beyond typical K-drama audiences into entrepreneurship communities, startup culture, and business media internationally. The small bar competing against the chaebol is the Underdog Algorithm's most commercially legible form. Dam Bam is not just a restaurant. It is the visible proof of the algorithm's central thesis, that the system's verdict on who belongs and who doesn't is not final. That sustained effort inside the system can produce outcomes the system did not intend. But Itaewon Class is honest about the cost. Saeroyi does not win quickly. He does not win cleanly. The people around him pay prices for his pursuit, prices that the show does not minimize. The underdog algorithm in this show, as in Signal and Crash Landing on You, refuses the comfort of cheap victory. What it offers instead is the specifically Korean emotional experience of watching someone refuse the system's verdict not through a single dramatic act, but through years of accumulated daily choices. The show is saying, this is what it actually looks like to beat a system from inside, not a confrontation scene. 15 years of showing up. If this analysis is decoding the Korean social systems running inside the business dramas you've watched, subscribe to Klogic. The revenge is never just revenge. The algorithm is always underneath. Itaewon Class became a global hit not because audiences identified with Park Saeroyi's specific Korean circumstances, the chaebol system, the specific social architecture of Korean hierarchy, but because the algorithm it runs is universal. Every society has a version of the system that Saeroyi is navigating. Every society has the equivalent of the chaebol, the established power that protects its own, that the legal and social system circles around rather than confronts, that ordinary people learn to work around rather than through. And every society has people running Saeroyi's algorithm, converting their Han into fuel, building from nothing, refusing the system's verdict through the accumulated daily discipline of showing up. What Korean drama does, what Itaewon Class does specifically, is give this algorithm its most precise narrative form. The small bar, the chaebol, the 15 years, the patient, disciplined, poly-fueled construction of something the system said couldn't exist. The world watched because the world recognized the algorithm, not the Korean setting, the shape of the problem, the specific emotional experience of being told by a system that you don't belong, and deciding, quietly, to build something that proves otherwise. Itaewon Class is the most practical Korean drama ever made. Not practical in the sense of useful advice, though there is useful advice in it. Practical in the sense of describing, with unusual precision, the actual mechanics of what it takes to navigate a system that was not designed to include you. The Han as fuel, the patience as strategy, the poly urgency applied not to speed but to sustained, daily, accumulative building. The refusal to be defined by the system's initial verdict. The specific Korean understanding that the system can be entered and navigated and eventually competed with, but only by someone willing to pay the price of the long game. This is why the show resonates with entrepreneurs, with immigrants, with anyone who has been told by a system that they don't belong and has decided to prove otherwise through work rather than confrontation. Park Saeroyi doesn't win by being exceptional. He wins by being consistent, by showing up every day for long enough that the system can no longer pretend he isn't there. That is not a Korean story. That is the oldest human story. Korea just told it with unusual precision. If the Itaewon Class algorithm decoded something about the system you're navigating, hit like and subscribe to Klogic. Because the manual is always in the drama. And Korea writes better manuals than anyone. Klogic will continue decoding the invisible systems that make Korean culture one of the most globally resonant forces on the planet. Because the source code was always there. You just needed to open the small bar and start building.